I've worked a lot in Iraq. I started working there in the Saddam Hussein days, so pre-2003 invasion. And then I was there through the invasion and the aftermath. And I think this trip, I hadn't been back in 2 years, and I was surprised to see that people are frightened. They're very frightened about ISIS. They're frightened about what's happening. The political climate is so uncertain. But they're very resilient, Iraqis. They have a tremendous amount of courage. They've been going through horrific war, which the height of which 2006, 2007 was bloodletting on a massive scale. So they know how to keep living, although it's very disturbing to talk to my friends who have all lost people in their families, either by car bombs, by killing, or by people who've left the country. More importantly, people want to leave. As ISIS takes more and more land, they're basically trying to exclude anyone who isn't extreme Sunni. So that means minorities, that means Christians, that means Shias, although Baghdad is mainly a Shia city. It means Turkomans, it means Yazidis, it means all the ethnic blends which made up modern Iraq. So I think the real fear for people is that they're sensing that their country, as they know it, is about to disappear. Borders are being erased. They don't know what's going to happen. And for people who face a very uncertain future, there's always this terrible climate of uncertainty. How am I going to live? How am I going to work? How am I going to send my children to school? How am I going to get food? And this is a very real dilemma. I think the vision of a modern Iraq is a multicultural country. But like the former Yugoslavia, or like other countries that Libya, in a sense, that had a strong dictator, leader who held them together. Once that was removed, very difficult to keep the ethnic mixes together. And I think that what happened post-Saddam, who of course was a Sunni and kept his Sunni hold, the Shias then came into power and enacted a terrible revenge. Perhaps the most difficult is to see the minorities being driven out. I spent quite a bit of time with the Christian community in Baghdad and in the past in Mosul and in northern Iraq. And I think that there's huge fears that Christians are going to flee because they want to get out. But if they leave, they're basically abandoning their country. So Christian leaders are calling for them to stay, saying, you must stay, this is your land as well. I think part of ISIS's logic is to instill fear into people. It's very similar to what the IRA did in London in the 60s, 70s, 80s. It's to make people afraid of what they don't know. So I think this is ISIS's tactic. And I think the best lesson really is for Christians, for minorities to stay, although sometimes, especially in the north right now where there's heavy fighting, impossible for them to do so.